I think we should all gather around. Hold Sarah here. If I had a gavel,
We need to be more authoritative, more assertive.
You want me to move over?
You want me to get their attention?
I'll in screen.
I'll in screen. Go ahead.
yeah. Okay. All right. We'll. It's Tuesday, March 29th, 9:30 a.m. is before us. This morning we have an agenda approved and the minutes of the past meeting. So I would so accept motion to that effect.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda and the minutes from last Tuesday's meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve today's agenda and the minutes of March 22nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, gentlemen, any old business before us?
I have none.
Okay, new business, we're gonna jump right on down to letter A in the line item, county engineers business. And Mary, you're in the cheap seats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys are working on blading the gravel roads, and they're working on removing some of the wings off the trucks and prepping them for storage. So busy with that. We do have our 2 summer positions posted, and we're taking applications through the 4th. Otherwise, not too much else new and exciting going on. So I'll move on to the next agenda item.
Okay.
For your consideration, I have for you to consider awarding contract for bridge replacement project on S66 South of Doherty. On March 15th, we took bids through the DOT. There were 3 bidders. The 3 bidders were Taylor Construction, Inc. for $404,854.61. Graves Construction Company, Inc. for $436,317.95. And Miniwak Construction, Inc. for $551,990.77. Engineer's estimate was $445,000, so it, the lowest bid was well under the engineer's estimate. 80% of the project is reimbursed from federal aid bridge fund, and 20% is the county's responsibility. The work involved will be replacing the existing structure. It'll be 90 foot long by 30.5 foot wide. We'll be doing the bridge approaches and then just some minor grading for the new guardrail. The road will be closed, of course, and a detour will be posted, and there's 80 working days to complete the project. And it'd be my recommendation to go ahead and award that to Taylor Construction and New Vienna in the amount of $404,854.61.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd make a motion to award the bid to Taylor Construction of New Vienna, Iowa, $404,854.61.
I'll second said motion.
Okay, it's been motioned and second in favor of awarding contract to the Taylor Construction Company out of New Vienna, Iowa. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, thank you.
Thanks, that's all I have.
All right, any questions, concerns for Mary?
Just keep graveling them roads. Blading them roads, they're getting rough.
Any timetable up on County Road B20 that you have the signs up there for the dips in the road now because of the frost boils and such?
Timetable for construction or takes?
Right, I mean, some of the concrete's broken up.
Next, well, that one is in the works for next summer.
Okay.
We got survey done on a majority of it, and we have to finish survey for the rest of it, and then remove it and replace it for next summer.
Yeah, I see-
using
I see
farm to
some of
market.
The concrete patch that you have there.
We've done a lot of TLC and patching
Right.
to try to get it to survive just a little bit longer. There's, the worst portion is there by Eagle. It's fairly bad coming up to that stop sign. So yeah, I would like to do that one next summer. Like I said, using farm to market dollars. It'll be about probably $3 million to do that 6-mile stretch.
Okay. Anything else?
Good for me.
Okay. Well, with that, thank you, Mary.
Thanks.
We're going to be moving on down to the county auditor's line item, and the first one appears as claims.
Got the claims here for your consideration. Only the very top claim needs a board signature today.
Okay.
Okay, this time I'll make a motion to approve the claims as presented and have you sign where appropriate.
All right.
I will second.
Okay, it is motion and second to authorize the chairman's signature on the claims presented this morning. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Payroll, any?
I have no payroll today.
Okay, thank you. Drainage?
I have 2 drainage items.
Ready.
Was it just yesterday? Curtis Dornkamp was in our office to report that there is water standing on the top of a tile in the northeast quarter of section 21. It's in Drainage District 31, 186. He had requested that before Larry go out, that Larry call him because it is so wet. He didn't want to see anybody stuck up there, and access to it is kind of tricky. The other report involving drainage is from Jerry Fritz, has reported a blowout in a grass waterway in Drainage District 111.
And what was that, drain, 111?
111.
111.
At this time, I'll make a motion to have Larry Furman investigate and do what's appropriate for fixing.
Okay.
Second.
All right, it's been motion and second in favor of authorizing Larry Fearman to investigate Drainage District 31 and Drainage District 111. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anything else from the auditor's office? Okay.
No.
County treasurers, we have abate taxes. This happens to be a parcel, not a,
I can give you the site address, Bill.
I was just wondering if it's motorhome or,
No, it's for real estate property. The city of Swaledale took a deed to the site address at 308 Douglas Street in Swaledale. It had multiple special assessments on it. It has a tax sale to Cerro Gordo County on it. Because they took a deed to it, we cannot offer it for tax sale again to collect the taxes. They are going to abate the special assessments. They are asking Cerro Gordo County to abate the real estate taxes as well as the tax sale. And then it will become tax exempt or unless they do something else with it.
okay.
Your recommendation?
So that would be my recommendation.
All right.
John Drury called me last week and talked to me about it, and it's a place that needs to be cleaned up, and they're gonna tear it down and have some expense and stuff to it, and have some pretty big taxes. And I talked to Pat, and at this time we'll make a motion to abate the taxes for said parcel.
All right.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded also to abate the taxes on said parcel represented in the agenda for an amount of $286.00. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay. Yep, thank you. All righty, moving down to letter D, county sheriffs, we have, a burn justice grant?
We do.
And it's a yearly?
Once again, we have the Burn Justice Assistance Grant Program.
Okay,
You have blue.
I got blue.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is a pass-through grant through the North Central Iowa Narcotics Task Force. This grant's normally referred to as a JAG grant. We're applying for $271,246, which pays for 75% of peace officers or police officers' wages, 75% of their benefits for a year, We're also putting extra money in the grant for a fifth funded officer. They have to be 100% drug enforcement. And we're also putting in some expenses for office and some other things like we normally do, and they'll cut it down. If you remember, last year we added the fourth funded officer. So the 4 funded officer positions are Mason City Police, Cerro Gordo County Sheriff's Office, Franklin County Sheriff's Office, and Clear Lake Police Department get 75% of one officer's wages paid for and benefits. This grant is a continuation grant. We've had a grant at the task force for several years. 1989 was the first grant that they had funded through the JAG program. So it's a great opportunity to get some relief from our expenses on enforcing drug laws. And I have 2 sheets for the chairman to sign if so approved. I'll take one and you can keep one.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Was this the one that you were concerned in jeopardy or one-time cutting?
Well, it's always in jeopardy.
Oh, it always is. So it's
Because a large part of the JAG program is earmarks.
Okay.
And as you know, there's becoming fewer and fewer of those.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I make a motion to approve the burn justice grant programs described by the sheriff. Authorize your signature where appropriate.
We have a motion.
I'll second
Robert?
it. I'll second that motion.
Okay. The motion and second to approve and to accept and authorize the chair's signature on the Burns Justice Assistance Grant Program. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, moving along now, we have a resolution to setting forth proposal to sell real estate owned by the county. And Tom, do you want to take the lead on that, or?
Sure. No, it was probably 5 or 6 months ago. Jay and I met with Bill Kroll from Kroll Ready Mix and Ken Bales from North Iowa Corridor EDC to discuss the possibility of Kroll moving their Mason City operations to a property owned by the county, generally across from the law enforcement center on the east side of Lark Avenue. After a number of meetings that I've had with both Mr. Kroll and with Mr. Bales, Mr. Kroll submitted a proposal to purchase 20.17 acres of land. The land sits back probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 or 800 feet from Highway 122 that would generally preserve that frontage along 122 for future retail development or whatever might happen there. The offer is for $7,000 an acre. I've talked with County Assessor John Bodecker about this property as well. The majority of the land has a CSR of less than the county average of 70. He said it's also not easily farmed due to the angles of the land there. The land is currently under lease with Brad Olchenbrun through April 1st of 2012. The process involved with the sale of land is that today you will consider a resolution that sets forth the proposal to sell and then sets a hearing date for April 19th at 10 a.m. State law requires a public hearing before the sale of land. If the sale is completed, then for Kroll to move their operations out there would require a special use permit from the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment can attach a number of conditions to a special use permit, including requiring burning, plantings for trees, bushes, those types of things. They will review the site layout, consider stormwater issues such as water retention and reclamation, as well as possible impacts on the Willow Creek floodplain and downstream, and then also access issues. And as part of that, we would obtain input from the Mason City Growth and Development Office, since it does lie in a coordination cooperation area under our comprehensive plan. It may also require review by the DNR due to its proximity of the Willow Creek floodplain. But once we have a more final site plan going to the Board of Adjustment, we'll submit that to the DNR for review. So this is really just the first step in this process.
Okay. Been explained very well, Tom.
Any questions for me, perhaps?
Perhaps you'd like to make a statement?
Yeah, wait, do you guys have this map here? I think you should. It's roughly 20 acres. We would like to relocate our Mason City plant. Our Mason City plant is obsolete. We need to upgrade it. After a long search, we determined this would probably be the best place for us. It's kind of an unusual piece of property. There's some flood zone in there that we absolutely must stay out of. It's not really an option. I don't want to think of the mess we have if we did anything wrong. But it would work well for us, just the access to our materials and the access to the market we serve. It would have a reclaimer, and all these things we'd have to get approved by the DNR. Like he said, this is the first step. As far as the offer goes, we believe it's a fair price. Based on what the farm ground values are selling around here, I don't know what they happen to be. It's pretty close there, though. It's about as close as old-fashioned development as you can get. We don't get any tip grants. We're not really asking for any money from the city. We're paying for the ground. It's not given to us. The sewer hookup, we do all that ourselves. We dig our own wells, so we don't be using city water or nothing. It's pretty self-sustained. I don't think it costs the taxpayers of Cerro Gordo County anything. If you guys have any questions, I'd sure appreciate it.
Why don't you describe your operation, number of employees,
Okay.
different aspects of what
Well,
you
we have roughly 10 employees in the Mason City area. We use our existing ready-mix plant is downtown here on Massachusetts Street. It was built, I don't know when it was built. We purchased it a few years ago from Tom Fisher, about 10 years ago actually. What it's amounted to, it's a ready-mix operation. A ready-mix plant is basically a weighing place. We weigh rock and sand, cement, put it in mixer trucks. The mixer trucks mix it up and haul to the job site. It's not rocket science, but it's what we do. The trucks are coming from or aggregate trucks are most likely coming from both directions, I guess. A rock coming from the north and our sand coming from the south. We feel it's far enough away from the existing commercial places that it wouldn't be a nuisance. We'd have dust control throughout, have to comply with every DNR regulation they could ever think of. As far as discharge, water discharge, we'd have a permit for that. We would have a reclaimer on site to reclaim our rock and our sand. It's pretty straightforward, really. You guys have any idea?
Old location, I'm sure you're somewhat landlocked there.
It's an unhandy location anymore. The growth doesn't seem to be happening over there. We just want to get it. Like I said, we don't like dragging our mixer trucks all the way through town. Every time we pull over, it's hard on our trucks, it's traffic, and it's hard on your streets. It'd be quicker to our markets if we were there.
And this is located, the parcel that you're interested in, it's located directly across from the law enforcement center.
Yes, sir.
So you have easy access to the jail in case we need it.
That was
key issue, Jay.
But it's a development property. The county owns it. I don't know what else you could put there. I'm not an expert, but there is some flood zone there. But it works well for us. And of course, we could never buy a flood zone. They get really, let's just aim it. So.
On behalf of the county, it's something to well note. And everyone knows this, but sometimes it doesn't get mentioned. County property does tax. And now, we have the responsibility to look after county property tax owners and be able to put something. It seems like through this process, we have flood buyouts, we have abatements, we have, list goes on of stuff coming out, and we have a chance here to put something on the property tax rolls. For the sake of everything, I think that's worth mentioning.
We'll spend excess of $1 million on this project. Easy. By the time it trucks and equipment, land, easy.
Mr. Dales, do you have anything to add?
Well, I'd just like to say that we have been working with one of his subordinates, Harlan Taylor, and as well as Bill, probably for 18, 20 months, looking at various sites. They've given a lot of consideration to where and why, and there's been other sites that we've looked at closely that we could have gone to and didn't work out. For the same reason, the location, serving the market, and what we have seen, we have visited other sites, they do put up some nice spots. And having a vision of this plant that would go on Lark Avenue, how it would match up between 122 and the old highway, it seemed like a nice match for continuation of some development out there, and I think it's not going to be offensive. They got controls in place that guard against that, and they've been easy to work with, and we hope that we can work out some other things on the land and the lease and so forth. But they've got several operations in Iowa and other states, and we found nothing to be offensive at all, so we're pretty happy that this is going on.
What are the plans for the ready-mix plant when it becomes operable? Are you going to be doing some berming and some other
Yes, sir.
aspects that are going to make it more palatable and blend in with the topography there?
Yes, sir. To the north, where you possibly might see it from the highway, we will put a berm. We'll come into the plant, we'll strip off the black dirt, put a nice berm there, plant some trees. I think you guys should have manholes. And
If you could
as
hand
long as
those
it-
out to them, Bill,
Oh.
they may not have that.
Let me see what's
Sure. I got one, Mike. So you look in the green part to the north and to the west. We'll plant, we can't put a berm obviously in the.
You got an extra one there?
Pardon me?
You got an extra one?
I got one right here, sure.
Okay.
As long as it's down to the floodplain, we're fine. But even in the floodplain, we'll plant some trees there. We got enough ground to do that. That's kind of why we expanded it to 20 acres. We wanted to make sure that we make a nice footprint there for you. We don't want, being a bad neighbor isn't really an option for us. We just can't do that.
And that 20-acre footprint, the whole provision will be, would there ever be a provision that you would, portions of that seeded down and maybe be able to be farmed conventionally, or are you just going to keep it
I'd be
mowed?
surprised if we could farm it. It'd just be seeded down.
Okay.
Um,
There's concern and so, big concern of, we're, not out in the desert land or arid, very high productive land in Iowa, and particularly North Iowa, that, if we asphalt everything over, where will it,
I understand.
Yeah, it's just, bring it up.
But there might be the potential along that floodplain for seeding in native grasses or something like that have a much more extensive root system that would help
Retention.
filter, any runoff before it gets to Willow Creek.
It's 2008, prior to that gets a big notice
And
with the floods.
that might
Oh,
be
yeah.
something that the Board of Adjustment looks at in
If you look
the
at-
conditions that they would put on a special
If you
use
look on the
permit.
map, our buildings are, even the 500-year floodplain. They just won't, you're not gonna build a floodplain, it's just gonna happen. You're not gonna adjust, you're not gonna change the floodplain in any way.
you know, actually, all these questions we're talking about and the discussion we're having will probably be redundant here at the public hearing we're gonna set. But I kind of said like, well, don't worry about public talk about, but I'm gonna put you on the spot, Kevin. You're right across the road. You're gonna be the resident neighbor there, or, have no concerns or discussions, or, yeah?
No.
All good. Okay, I just throw that out there for
Couldn't
safety.
build on the northwest corner, so we blocked the wind for it.
They didn't want us over there.
Tom, could you mention a little bit, I know there's been some past discussion about the possibility of developing down here in this area, and some of the difficulty of doing that because of the floodplain in the past.
Well, one time he had looked at that site for the fire training facility. I believe that the fire department was discouraged from doing so, probably through the emergency management office and my office, just because of the extensive floodplain.
Were they
below
not
Creek.
south of the creek?
They were actually south of that in they were south of the creek in that area. I'm just going to try to find my map here. There's some farmland back in there south of the creek, and I think that's what they were looking at. And that area is entirely within the 100-year flood zone.
Okay. Any other, Bob?
No, unless there's other people who want to talk.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no.
Bill Yon, I have no disagreement with the fact that Kroll's are a competitor of ours and need a different place to go. I guess my question would be threefold. We spent millions of dollars on an industrial park for the city of Mason City. I know the county contributed a considerable amount of dollars for that. And I wondered if Mr. Bales had looked at the industrial park and why that wasn't considered. I guess, two, I don't know if the road was constructed as such to handle the kind of traffic. And true, it'd be $7,000 sounds kind of reasonable with today's standards. So I would question those three issues.
Very good question.
Yeah, my
Thank
part
you.
of the
Fair
answer
question.
would be, as I said, we've worked with them for a number of months. And yes, that we have a burning desire to move property out of that industrial park. And, but at the same time, we want to make it a good fit for whoever is going to go there. So we did go to a site that was west on the Nicholas Farm. And it would be both on the east and west side of that drainage ditch. And,
I don't know where you're talking about.
well, it's on 43rd Street, coming
By the new
towards-
water tower?
Coming
Oh,
towards
yeah.
Eisenhower.
Yeah.
We looked in there because, as we said before, we'd like to get something out there. We've also looked at the other site that was owned by GNS, which was north of their bulk plant. And that didn't work out because they wanted a significant amount of money for that. And so we kept looking, and we found some sites north and south and rural. And we had one site that was very close to an offer. In fact, the seller had agreed to a number. It was on 14 acres. And it's out of state owner. And it came so close to closing, but then it turned out that the wife of the owner had some sentimental value towards the 14 acres and decided not to do it. So it isn't that we haven't tried to look at other sites, but then when Bill showed up, Mr. Kroll, we thought both would sites to be where we're at now, as well as to the west of the law enforcement center. But that was going to require some paving from the county and from ourselves or from him. So we just went across the road, and it just seemed like a nice fit, Bill. So I guess that's where we're at.
And they'll go
We did
through-
try.
They'll go through zoning as far as what they can and can't do there. I mean, is it just a ready-mix operation? Is it recycling? Is it asphalt? Is it a retail store? I mean, that all remains to be seen.
I think all the plants they got, they give
Ready.
pictures, it's going to be ready mix, right, Alan?
Yes, sir.
The property is zone A1 agricultural, which allows for a ready-mix operation by special use permit granted by Board of Adjustment. And as I said earlier, the Board of Adjustment can attach a number of conditions to a special use permit requiring berming and other requirements to make sure that the development fits in with its surrounding.
Good question on that one. Do you have enforcement on that? Because when they located Tuttle out by me, there was all these special conditions and nobody enforced them.
Absolutely. There's at least 3 special use permits that I'm required to make an annual report to the Board of Adjustment on, because that is a condition of the special use permit. Heartland Asphalt's one of them, and I've got a couple junkyards that I have to make annual reports to, but those are based on the conditions of the special use permit.
Does the Mason City Industrial Park have the same requirements?
No, that's under city zoning.
So they'd have to go through city zone?
Correct.
Yeah, one correction, Bill, we've made no contribution to the purchase nor the development of the Mason City Industrial Park. That was done long before any of the members of the Board of Supervisors were here. Strictly a Mason City operation.
The road by the airport, or by the new water tower is?
The industrial park, as I understand it, is the area between Monroe to Pierce, which is the industrial park in Mason City. That's development area out there.
Or are you talking about the annexed area to the
I'm
south?
talking close to 123rd Avenue.
Oh, the county did do the road there.
Yeah, we paved the road.
Yeah, but when I was talking about industrial park, you were talking about the Mason City Industrial Park. That's not the Mason City Industrial Park.
Fundamentally, there's like four sites that comprise that industrial park, as we call it. And it runs from Federal down 43rd to Eisenhower on both sides to the avenue, and then back down to 19th Street, or some of it, which is owned by GNS. So GNS is one, Indian Head Farms, Sutcliffe, and Nicholas are 4 owners of the land that are out there. There's probably about 800, 900 acres altogether that is ready. And part of that was sold to the Highway Patrol. And nothing's happened since then. A lot of inquiries. We'd like to sell some.
Nicholas Farm is across from the ethanol plant, correct?
To which?
The Nicholas Farm is the one across from the ethanol.
Correct. And it runs east-west, about 154 acres.
That land is part of the industrial park, or
Yes.
is there water out there then?
It goes to the corner of Pierce and 43rd. And they'd have to, and then there's some sewer that had to be a lift station if they went west and picked up the site of Nicholas, that'd be a lift station. But that's, I think there's more interest in coming from Federal first than going west or commercial development. At least that's the inquiries we've had on various sites, but now we're finding that the owners will not entertain anything less than 10 acres per sale, and likely more than that.
What's the prices out there like that?
Depends what time of the year it is, and because, and
I mean, is it similar to this price, or?
Oh, no, it's gonna be more, because it has all the sewer and water, and of course, this is just gonna be well and septic. It's priced accordingly, and the farmers that that own that land say, well, if it's worth so much on an ag-related basis, then it's gonna be worth this much on a commercial side. So we have started at a price out there of probably 15,000 an acre, and now it runs an asking price of probably mid-20s, low mid-20s.
So this is a pretty good deal.
Well, I don't know about that, Bill. I don't know whether there's probably no comps that you can get to that would tell you that it's a good deal or not.
That was the difficulty the county assessor had in getting me an idea of what the price might be for this property, because there was really no comparables out there for it. Based on the CSR and where the land was, his estimate was probably at best $5,500 to $6,000 an acre as farmland.
Oh, I think you'd see a lot more money in
You
that.
bet, be a lot higher.
Well, that was based on the average CSR being under 70, and then also the fact that this isn't a full field, and how it angles along along Willow Creek, and the impact of the floodplain.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me
I
everyone's...
got one question. What's the county getting for rent per acre off of that ground?
259?
360, I think.
369.
It's not near high enough to sell at 7,500.
What'd you say?
I say 7,500 ain't enough for it if they get 360 rent.
That's average farm.
I think what you'll see when we have the public hearing, that if the public feels that the property's undervalued, a member of the public will come forward and make an offer on it, which is possible at the public hearing. Am I not correct, Tom?
It's possible, and if that's the case, you can reject this offer and the process starts again. You basically start from square one.
And that's one of the provisions dealing with public domain, and there's all these provisions in place to go through this and answer all the questions and get to...
Why can't you put it on the ballot for election?
Well,
Hey,
we'll have to consider that.
Is it a votable issue?
It would not be. Iowa law basically says, and different states have different laws, but in Iowa, an election has to have a statutory basis, clear authorization in the language of the code, and this would not have that. It just could not be voted on under Iowa law.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, and, there'll be a provision to go through all these questions again. Obviously, as we go through this, we're just setting a resolution for the public hearing. So we've answered a lot of questions as of now.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd make a motion to approve resolution 2011, number 38, for a public hearing concerning the possible sale of this property. Do we have a date, Tom?
Yes, the 19th at 10 o'clock.
Okay. April 19th, 10 a.m.
And with all the work and stuff we went through, all second to said resolution.
Okay, it's been motioned and second in favor of resolution number 38 for setting the public hearing date of April 19th. And do we have a specific time? We should
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay. All right. And all aforementioned, I will take account or vote on that. Everyone say aye.
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 Aye. All right, thank you. Okay. Moving along to case management. This is to authorize the chair to sign a re-credentialing providing application with Magellan Health Services.
Magellan Health Services is a Medicaid provider that pays target case management for services for persons with chronic mental illness, and every 3 to 5 years, they have a re-credentialing process for Cerro Gordo County as a provider of those services. And that packet is just information regarding our department, liability insurance and such items that go along with that, and our state certification copy, and a copy of our last certification review that occurred in 2008 for your consideration and signature.
All right.
Couldn't hear what you're saying, Dan, there was some noise. What'd you say?
It's a re-credentialing process for Magellan Healthcare that provides for case management payment for targeted case management services for all persons with chronic mental health conditions. And every 3 to 5 years, they re-credential Cerro Gordo County as a provider. And that packet includes our state certification and our last review in 2008, insurance for our department, and information contained in there. And then they just send it every few years and make sure all the stuff that they have is our provider number and national provider and ID number. And then that just credentials us through Magellan for clients that we serve, and then the rest of the mental retardation clients and intellectual disabilities is through Iowa Medicaid. This is really just managed care.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the chair's signature.
Okay.
Second.
Been motion and second to authorize the chair's signature on the re-credentialing provider application with Magellan Health Services. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With that, Mary Beth, I know enough about you, spend an awful lot of time on just that, don't you? I mean, providing the information that, instead of the services, it's kind of, it just is what it is. But
It is what it is.
Yeah. So, okay, moving along, letter G, we have a manure management plan. I'm sure it's an existing one.
Yeah, at this time, I'll make a motion, I have reviewed it, and this time I'll make a motion to accept the plan that's presented and send a copy to the DNR.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion and second to accept the manure management plan, file it with the auditor's department, and further it on down to the DNR. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Agreements and contracts, if any, I have none.
Yeah, none.
Okay, appointments?
No.
Okay, correspondence and communication.
None.
All righty. Brings us to the last line item, adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and second for adjournment. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. He does go.
Just wants to. Yes, absolutely. Want to say aye. 15 minutes.